I used to talk about my degrees. Now I'm Zen Wen. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I'm here to review episode 3 of the Real TikToks of Potomac. And we start off right away with Robin laying in bed, and honestly, that's how I look after waking up and doing one small task a day. And she's just sleeping and she's exhausted, and again, it's all depression to me because she's blaming it on the pandemic, and we hear somebody screaming like, Robin, 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 and I'm like, and then Juan comes up and he's like, you're not awake yet? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, brush your teeth. Like, there's fungus growing out of your toenails. Get up. Like, your breath, oh my God, the hot breath of yours. What's going on here? And he's just being so rude and saying, oh, how come you haven't woken up the kids yet? And I'm like, what? Like, since when is that a woman's job to wake up kids? Like, the same amount of time that you took to walk your ass here and pick on Robin and try to wake her up, you could have used that same energy and time to go to your children's room and wake them up yourself. What were you doing? Like, you weren't doing anything. If I was her, I would have grabbed that remote control that was right next to her and chucked it at his head for talking to me like that. Like, if you don't go make me some scrambled eggs and be quiet. And then she gets up, puts her robe on, and she goes to wake up her children. And then she goes back to bed. Juan comes back into the room and is like, how come our son is not awake yet? Like, what's going on? And she was like, yeah, he's not awake now. Can you go wake him up? And then so he goes out and he's like, do better next time, Robin. I'm like, what? Like, it's crazy. I mean, that's embarrassing to have this filmed on camera. And then he goes and wake up his son. See, you could have done that to begin with. You could have left Robin to sleep there and, you know, worry about her hat business or whatever. And then the teacher tells the son, oh, make sure your mom tells you to wake up on time. I'm like, what? Like, this whole episode started out with way too much disrespect. If I was Robin and I would have heard that comment, I would have put my robe on, gotten up, gone to the room, grabbed that laptop, and tossed it out the fucking window. Like, how's that for you, teacher? Then we get over to Ray and Karen's house, and we see that Ray is just 2 seconds away from breaking his back. I'm like, Karen, help him. Like, he's over there struggling with some flowers. Like, what's going on? And she's just over there like, yeah, so this lighting is terrible. Like, this is terrible. Like, Ray, I cannot believe what's going on here. Like, Ray, what are you doing? Come back over here. The lighting is too yellow. I need to look good. Ray, what are you doing on the floor? Ray, why are you not breathing? Ray, are you awake? Well, anyway, so I'm still yellow. Once Ray finally puts the pottery down, he goes over to Karen and they're doing like a Zoom meet and greet or something for the fans, and she's telling us about La Dame, which should be called La Dame. That's too much because she has a whole bunch of stuff going on. I mean, she has the perfume, the wigs, and this. I did not realize that it was so much stuff, but good for her. Get your money, Karen. And she's telling them that she added a new product, which I'm guessing it's another perfume called King and Queen. And she's like, yeah, this could take you anywhere. This will spice up your life. And she's like, tell him, Ray. And Ray, Ray's so adorable. He's like, I love me some Queen. Then we get over to Giselle, and she's meeting up with Ashley at this little cute coffee shop. And they're sitting down, they're eating cake or whatever. And Giselle's question to Ashley's like, so, you know, because Ashley's like 2 seconds away from popping and she's very, very pregnant. And Giselle's like, so, I mean, with this birth, are you nervous about Michael? Like, what's going to happen? What's going on there? And Ashley's like, well, I think I trust him much more. I'm like, okay, red flag number 1, don't do that. And she's like, yeah, I just trust him much more. Like, he is an influence on Dean, and you could tell that he's trying to be a role model now. So I don't think he'll really cheat too much on me. I mean, maybe now and then on the weekends, but as long as I don't find out, it's okay. And Giselle in her confessional says, oh, I'm not sure if she should be worried about the nanny because who knows if he might sleep with her. And I'm thinking, well, it's not necessarily the nanny she should be worried about. It's the pool boy that she should be worried about because we all know how Michael loves grabbing men's asses. They continue talking and Ashley is just spilling all of the tea. She's like, yeah, so this happened at the party. Mia called you a bitch. Mia said this and this and this about you. She said you were tacky. She said your house was horrible. She said she didn't like the shoes that you wore to Wendy's party. Yeah, she's definitely a bad person. Yep. And Giselle's just eating it all up. And Giselle's like, well, I'm going to ask her about it because it's funny that she's been texting me ever since that night. And to be honest with you, I completely agree with Giselle. I mean, Giselle didn't do anything to her, and Mia said to her face that she was a cool person, cool this, and now all of a sudden you're talking behind her back, and Giselle didn't do anything to you. So if I was Giselle, yeah, I would question you. But at the same time, Giselle, you're not scaring anybody. Like, Giselle's like, well, I'm gonna ask her when I get a chance, because I am super bad bitch, and I get to ask all the questions. Nobody's scared of you, Giselle. Like, yeah, if you do confront her, so what? Mia's probably gonna tell you maybe the truth, and even then, so what? You're not gonna do anything to her. And Giselle also adds that she wants to throw in this pampering party for Ashley. And she's like, well, I want to invite everybody except Karen. And then that's when Andy came out of nowhere and was like, cut. No. We're not gonna do that shit right now. Ashley, I'm gonna need you to tell Giselle that you do want Karen to come because we need the drama and the ratings. Giselle, we can't do that here. We can't X out one person because we need them for this film scene, okay? So we're gonna get this all together and we're gonna wrap everything up again, okay? So cameras, roll again. So then Ashley says, oh, no, I want Karen to be there. I think, she should be there. And Mia should also be there because she's very upfront about everything. So yeah, let's just all be together coincidentally. I'm like, we see y'all producing a scene. So then we get Robin, and she's at an Amazon warehouse working on her line Embezzled, and she's putting boxes and, boxes on top of boxes, and she's taping everything up because there's a bunch of hats inside there. And no shade or anything, kudos to her getting her money, but people are actually buying her hats. I'm like, how much are they? I mean, whatever. So she's there with her friend, who I guess she's now the new friend of the show. Her name is Ascala, and she's very pretty. And she's there in her red bottoms and everything. She's all dolled up. She's like, I'm not going to be caught slipping now in front of the camera. And then Wendy comes in to try to help Robin, and then she gets to meet Ascala, and they're both like, oh, we both have high heels on. Then Robin's like, you didn't come dressed either? But you know what? I'm not mad at either one of them, because who says that you can't look glamorous while also doing a job, right? Then Robin asks Wendy, so how was Karen's mixer thing? How did that go? And Wendy's like, well, everything went well, but Mia was there. And she goes on and tells Robin that, she had her hand in my face and I told her not to do that. But the old Wendy would have done something. But the new one, I'm Zen Wen now. And I'm like, oh my goodness. This is where the bullshit started with her and her Zen Wen. She literally replaced degrees with Zen Wen now. Like, last season was all degree. And now it's like Zen Wen is gonna be her new thing. And Robin is asking, why did you think that we were ganging up on her? Or like, why are you defending Karen? And Wendy's like, well, it was my house and I just didn't want anybody to feel attacked or anything. And Robin's just so confused. She's always confused. I mean, she's always like, huh? Who is Juan? And she's like, the old Wendy would not have done that. She would have been like, okay, like, I'm not going to play either side, because last season, Karen wasn't really too fond of Wendy and Wendy wasn't really too fond of Karen. So what changed? Robin also slips up and she tells Ascala, like, yeah, so Karen is kind of like an alcoholic. She kind of likes drinking a lot. And then we head over to Mia and her husband. And I like their relationship. It's very cute, like, between them. And on one side, I can see how Mia's like, oh, the last time somebody was, had a leash around my neck, I had to divorce them. And I just feel like Wendy's doing that with her husband. And with that statement, it's like, okay, yeah, you're pretty, but it's like, just because you're pretty doesn't mean that everybody has to bow to you or everybody has to look at you. If Eddie, he truly might not even be interested in you, or he might not even think you're pretty. So the fact that she kind of thinks she sits on a throne because of her looks is like, let's not. But at the same time, it's also kind of like a double-edged sword, because Wendy was acting a little strange with Eddie at Karen's mixer, and it's like, oh, let me look over your answer. She wanted to be compatible with Eddie so badly, and she was so desperate to, have the winning streak or something in that little game. And then we get over to Candace and Santa Claus's house, and, she has her fake acting children there, in scene and everything, pretending that they're doing something so it could look like, she's being a good stepmom. And she's like, oh, you're drinking already? Because Chris was in the bar and he was already drinking, so I'm assuming it was halfway through the day or whatever. And then she gets a phone call from her mom, and her mom was speaking facts. I mean, her mom was just telling her the truth, and Candace just didn't want to hear it. And the mom was like, oh, Chris, you're drinking already throughout the day? And he's like, yeah, I mean, I have no job. I'm not doing anything. I'm doing YouTube tutorials. I need to edit right now, so I'm not doing anything. And it's fine. Your daughter's giving me allowance, so what's the problem? She was like, are you sure you want to do that? I mean, are you comfortable with that? He has no job. Where's his money coming from? Are you sure he's not just using you for money? And Candace like, no, what are you talking about? Can't you be supportive? What's going on here? And the mom's like, you know what? It's whatever. It's your life. It's your decision. You do what you want to do. Candace is like, this is very passive aggressive. And the mom's like, you know what? It is what it is. Just make sure you get my cardboard cutout in my room taken out because I don't want to live in that house anymore. And Candace is like, you know what? Don't forget that. Don't forget that this is my life. Click. I'm like, ooh. But you know, the mom does make a point. I mean, what does Chris do? And are his intentions pure? I mean, it's questionable. And then we get over to Karen's house again, and Wendy's coming over, and Wendy's just saying that, you know what? I managed to put me and Karen's issue aside because we're a grown woman and we both want to start businesses, and I can actually use a mentor and an influencer, and Karen could be help. So they're sitting down and they're eating, and they eventually go into the living room. And Karen starts asking her a million questions about her business. And she starts asking, oh, so how's you and Eddie's relationship? Are you jealous of Mia? How is this candle thing gonna work? You do know this shit is stupid, right? And Wendy's like, wait. All I have is a paragraph. What are you talking about? And Karen's like, yeah, you need to double your budget. Like, everything that you got going on now, it's not gonna happen. Like, what is this? And Wendy's like, well, here's my candle. Karen takes it, and it was so funny seeing her struggle reading the name. Like, come again? Like, I'm like, oh, look at Karen. But you know, I appreciate seeing Karen and Wendy work this business out, even though I think this whole candle idea is just a bunch of, you know, BS. I'm like, really, Wendy? Is this what you really want to do? How about something else? Like a candle, a home line? I don't know. It's almost like Bravo told her, like, listen, you can't talk about your degrees anymore. You need to talk about something else. You need to come up with this idea or something else for season 2, because that whole degree thing and your whole storyline in the first season is not going to cut it. And I feel like Wendy's just struggling here because I'm like, a candle again? No. And speaking of her confessional look that we finally saw, Wendy's blue bedazzled crystallized dress thing that she had going on, she looks so beautiful in that dress. That color looks so nice. I love the split down the middle to show off, you know, happy and this. I'm like, look at Wendy. She looks really good in her confessional. So then we head over to Mia and her husband's house again. And Mia starts opening up and she says that the father of one of the child that's not her current husband's child, they have a good relationship together, like both the husband and the ex-husband. I'm like, wow. And they even put the pictures. I'm like, that's really mature of them to do. So that's good to know that she has a good relationship with his father as well. Mia and her husband go into their room and she starts opening up to us. And she starts telling us that her mom and dad had a drug issue, and because of that, she ended up in foster care. And she tells us that she wrote to her so many times and she tried to reach out so many times, but she never heard anything back. Or if she did hear something back, it was never delivered. And I just hope that this situation doesn't get exploited on the show and she tries to do something like, oh, let me bring the camera crew and let me go find her address and let's try to, you know, reunite on camera. And then she gets shut down and rejected at the door because we already seen that too many times on these franchises and we don't need to see that again because it's very sad and heartbreaking. And you can tell that Mia is still dealing with that hurt. And then we head over to Candace's house and she's finally meeting up with Karen for their little tea together because, you know, last week they promised that, oh yeah, we're going to have a sit down. We're going to have a conversation about what happened in our friendship. And they finally sit down and Candace is coming with the bullshit. Like Candace still wants Karen to get down on her knees and to beg her for forgiveness. Like, Karen did not do anything wrong. She played it mutual between two friends, which is Monique and Candace. Like, okay, y'all had your, you know, your little shuffle and everything, but that had nothing to do with Karen. Karen tried to tell Monique, like, you know, I think that this is wrong, but Candace, I'm not taking either side either. I'm not saying that you're wrong or right either. I'm not saying the same thing about you, Monique. And Karen did her best, so I don't know what else Candace wants. I mean, If you're not on Candace's team, you're not a true friend. You're not trustworthy. That is the high school mentality that Candace has. And she's so at peace and so much more happier and lovely this time around. And that's the only part of her that's like, you need to get rid of that. I mean, Monique, at this point, she's not even on the show. And she's still bothering you. At this point, Candace, you just need to let it go because you're just beating a dead horse. Karen already says that she doesn't regret anything. If she could do it all over again, she would do the same thing. She stood her stance, and I'm glad that Karen did not bow to her. And of course, I thought we weren't gonna have the friend of the show come back this season, but we do. And that friend of the show is Candace's napkin. Because finally, it only took 3 episodes. It took 3 episodes to finally see her. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, come on, Candace. You couldn't wait a little bit longer? She was just like, Karen, I want you to be on my side. It's just, you know what Monique did to me was, hold on, I can't trust you. You know, I really can't. And it's just like, that's just the way our friendship is gonna have to be now because I can't trust you. You're still on Monique's side and you're not on my side anymore. And I can't have people who don't bow to me and who don't kiss my ass or anything be my friend. So Karen, go get your jacket and see your way out the door, okay? So then it's finally time for Ashley's pampering party, and all the women are getting there one by one by one, and they're all taking their seat in the little lounge area. And Karen and Mia, Mia is sitting right next to Wendy, she starts talking to her and she's like, so what did you think about the party? Like, what's been going on? Like, what's the issue between you and Wendy? And I'm like, where's Wendy? Isn't she right sitting next to her? And Mia's like, wow, like, we could talk about it right now. Like, Wendy, like, what's your issue? And Wendy just goes from 0 to 100 so quickly. She's like, I am Zen Wen, but I have time today. So I have time, and you know what time represents? Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Here's my moment, here's my moment. TikTok. I'm like, what? I was cringing so hard. I was just like, Wendy, stop. Like, just go back to talking about your degrees because this whole new persona thing you had going on, like, no, this is a big no. And I liked Wendy on the first episode, and then she put her own foot in her mouth fucking around with Mia. Like, leave her alone. If you're so unbothered or whatever, like, leave her alone and just let it go. And this is the prime example of what happens when you're trying to defend Giselle. What does that get you? Nowhere. And Mia is trying to explain the situation like, yeah, Wendy got upset because I put my hand in her face. And then Candace opens up her mouth and she's like, well, putting your hand in somebody's face is very threatening. And I'm thinking, so why did you do it to Monique that caused that to happen? And then it caused her to reach across the table. Are you forgetting that? Like, what? Like, do the rules only apply in certain situations, Candace? What's going on? Just sit there and drink your champagne. So then they continue going back and forth, and Wendy just continues saying that whole TikTok line. And Giselle's trying to, jump in, and it's like, wait, I want to hear what she's going on. But Wendy is just not having it. Wendy's like, no, I am Zen Wen. I am Zen Wen. I am Zen Wen. And she's telling Mia, oh, you're so quick to say that I have problems at home. Well, you have problems at home because you got your clitoris done. And I'm like, wow, Wendy, like, what is going on here? What is it about this girl that is just pushing your buttons to the extreme? So Mia's like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm leaving. And so she gets up and she goes into the hallway. And I agree because Wendy there was just no need to attack her like that for no reason. Like, Wendy, just relax. Like, I get it. And I completely understand that she's trying to look out for her friend Giselle, but that is just not your battle. It's really not. And if she wants to come off across as fake, then let Giselle find that out because, yeah, Giselle does have a right that Mia is saying something to her face. But then again, she's saying something else behind her back. And when they have that discussion, they'll have it together. This has nothing to do with you. Just stay out of it and let both of them handle it, Mia and Karen head over to the hallway and they meet up with Ashley and Escala who are getting their feet done. It looks like a burrito, like a vegan burrito or something that was going on their feet. And they're like, yeah, it's not gonna happen. Like, we need to get out of there. We need some peace. And then back in the room, Giselle and Robin are like, Wendy, you just really need to calm down. Like, you should have let her speak. Like, we wanted to hear what she had to say. And then Wendy in her confessional, she's upset because, wow, I'm very loyal to them and this is what they do to me. So now we're seeing the little sprinkles of what's gonna happen between Giselle and Wendy. So I'm assuming because of this situation, this is what lights up the issue between them later on in the season. And she continues this whole Zen Wen thing. Zen Wen, like, oh no, I just have time today. I am calm. I am happy. No. That is not what we just saw on screen. Like, that is not the behavior that we just witnessed. And Candace also says it, like, I wish that she didn't really have to prove anything to us. I don't get why she continues trying to say this whole Zen Wen thing. Like, what's going on? And I'm trying to figure out what exactly came with those boobs that she got, because it must have came with another thing attached to it. I mean, she calls it happiness, but I call it annoying yin, because she was just doing way too much this episode and she was making me cringe. I'm like, Wendy, you really don't have to try this hard for a champagne this season. Like, you're already on the show. We like you. You don't have to, like, start a fight with the new girl, or you don't have to, be doing this or be doing that for camera time. Like, stop it. And then Mia also reveals to the group that she used to be a stripper, so that way we don't have to continue questioning from last week. But she said she was a classy stripper, and I'm thinking, wait, what? Because she said at her strip club that you wore ball gowns and everything. So I'm like, what kind of Grammy stripper is this? Like, a fancy ass strip club. What? What kind of strip club do you have to dress up as if you're going to an award show? Like, oh, let me put on my finest jewelry and my finest gown. Honey, where are you going? The strip club. Like, what? Eventually, Giselle leaves the party and she runs out and she tells them that she needs to find out why Jamal is not texting her. So she's going to go home and investigate. And she leaves the party. I'm like, you're the one that threw this and you're leaving already? Like, it is what it is. So then all the women are back together. And then Ascala, she comes in messy. She's like, so Karen, I heard that you're kind of like an alcoholic. You drink a lot. And I'm like, now why would you say that, Ascala? Aren't you friends with Robin? Didn't Robin tell you that information and you're over here just blabbing it out? And Karen's like, oh, no, I just like to have a good time. I like to call everybody when I'm having a drink or two or whatever. And everybody's like, uh-huh. And then Ascala also adds in a prayer for Ashley and the baby to end off the episode. And that was it, y'all. That was the episode. I mean, it was cute. It was interesting. But I don't know where Wendy wants to take this whole thing with Mia. I mean, at this point, it's just you're the only one that's upset about it. Mia, I don't think she's really bothered by that, too much. She's just kind of responding to you. And you're over here trying to make catchphrases and trying to have a moment. For what? For Giselle? Like, that's who you're really defending? But that's that, y'all. Let me know what y'all thought about the episode in the comments. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.